Hello, ineffable being. How are you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful, magical day. I want to tell you that you are a genius. You are special. You mean the world, and you are loved. So, along my journey, it's fun. It's funny because I'm still young. I consider myself young, and I don't have kids yet. So, fair warning, I don't have kids. But along my journey, you know, I I think it's important to look back at the person that created me, right? Well, the person that I used to be, and the person where I'm going, where I come from. And part of this is looking at how I was raised, right? So along my journey, I just kind of took time to look back at, the teachings of my parents. And I just really try to write down what are the things that my parents taught me. And after I had like a good solid list of what I believed, they try to teach, then I compared that and I created a list of what the collective tries to teach and list and their kids. And then I try to see like, well, because I am who I am now based on every experience that I've ever created or that has happened to me, and now more present day, I am also the person that I am creating myself to be. So that is to say, pushing my thoughts in the way that I want them, showing myself emotionally the emotions I want to feel, creating the actions in my world that I want to experience versus allowing my reality to create my personality. So switching to this paradigm of empowerment, of creation, of my personality is going to create my reality versus my reality creating my personality, my vision, my perspective kind of changes, right? Because I see what I value now. So along my journey, I really just sat and I was like, well, what is the purpose of parents? Like, what do they teach, right? So basically what I saw is, at least in my household, and I love to hear what was taught in your household. Um, well, I like to believe that the collective is what we try to teach our kids is responsibility, honesty, organization, probably, good exercise, eating habits, respectfulness, work ethic. These are kind of the things that I was raised on, right? And I'm speaking for myself now, and of course this might also count for your list, but these are the things that were important to me. But in the present day, I really sat and I questioned, what did I actually learn from my parents? Because I mean, I ended up where I am because I lost my job. I ended up 100,000 miles away from my family. I lost all friends, all relationships, sexual and friendships, all physical belongings. Why? If for, a good part of my life, all my parents tried to teach me was responsibility, honesty, cleaning habits, being respectful, and, hard work. But then I looked of what resulted in that. And then from the ashes, from losing my whole life as I knew it, I had to start rebuilding myself. And when I began to rebuild myself, I had to create what type of person I wanted to be. Now, yes, I want to be a responsible person. I like honesty. I like good hygiene and exercise and eating habits. I'm a vegan. I try to strive for respectfulness. I believe, even hard work. I have a corporate job that I work 9 hours at, and then I also, nurture an ineffable family, a virtual family of people around the world, pushing and sharing what it means to live through the heart. So, but I see that these aren't the most important things of who I am. I see these are very surface things. And when I really begin to be honest with myself, and if you're a parent, then I'm not sure how this is going to settle with you, what I'm about to say, but after much discussion, I saw that responsibility, honest, respectfulness, hard work, organization, all of these things, that's what society teaches you. If you go to school, at least in America, you're going to learn how to be responsible. You're going to learn about honesty, because if you're not, you'll get in trouble, you go to detention. You're going to learn about organization, because if you're not organized, chances are you're going to fail. You're going to learn about exercise, right? You have to take a physical education course. Um, There's also eating habits that are kind of like passed on. We also talk about respectfulness, because if you talk back or if you yell, if you disrespect your classmates, you'll have to stay after class. You learn about hard work as well in school, don't you? You know? And I kind of thought, well, wow, like the same thing my parents like tried to teach me, like I was already learning that in school. So this didn't really settle with me, because these are my parents. These are the people that are supposed to, cultivate and nurture and set a good foundation so I can go out in life in the real world and become an honorable an asset to society. But of course, I didn't make my parents' job easier or anything by all means. But still, when I look at what was taught, I mean, let's say you don't go to school and you don't have parents, you're just somehow living in life, right? Well, you're going to learn all of these same things. You're going to learn responsibility if you want to have a job. You're going to learn responsibility. If you want to be, if you want to live on this planet with and coexist with the environment, with people, and not live in the mountains, you're probably going to also have to learn a little bit of honesty along your way. You're surely going to have to learn about organizing, how to exercise and yourself, your eating habits. You're gonna have to learn how to be respectful in the world, because if you're not respectful in the world, let's say again, you didn't learn this in elementary, middle school, and high school. You didn't learn this in your household. You can't just go out in the world and disrespect people. You're probably gonna get knocked on your teeth or knocked on your behind, or far worse, end up in handcuffs. You're gonna learn hard work if you didn't have parents and you didn't go to school. You're gonna have to learn hard work as well, because that's just the way the life is built. And this is for if you want to have money to eat, to have a roof over your head, you're gonna learn all those things. So really, I asked myself, Luis, what type of parent, like, what do you want to teach? Like, what's gonna be your purpose? Because anywhere that I turn, we find all these same things, all these same teachings. They're everywhere. You can even find them in religion, right? So in spirituality, you find some of these things as well. So what is important? What do parents teach? And I asked myself this, and now my current foundation, and it's not established. I never say this is a concrete belief and I'm going to die like this. No, I mean, because the moment I say that, then my brain, I stop growing. And in essence, like Sadhguru says, the more conclusions you make, the more dead you become. Because only in a life, only whenever you're open to life is when you can grow. And if we look at our society, where we are today, right? We have racism, we have large amounts of debt, health problems, not just physical like obesity, but also high blood pressure. We have stress, trauma, post-traumatic stress, mental health issues, emotional issues. Um, you know, Relationships are through the roof. And so if we look at society, what we teach our kids, is it really like, does it do anything? I know this is a hard topic because, I mean, we're built on families, right? Like, people are born and they live in a house and they have a last name and this is their family. And I'm kind of like pushing the buttons at this paradigm of what a family is. But what I'm really trying to do more than anything is not pinpoint the finger at my family, or school or society, but rather push us to see what is it that we really want to teach our kids. Like, is responsibility that important? And now, again, I'm not saying these things aren't important, but let's look at it for what it is. You're going to learn to be responsible. If you want to excel in life, you have to be honest, you have to be responsible, hardworking, respectful, and know a little about yourself and neatness, exercise, eating habits, organization. And you can learn these, if not at your household, in your school, in society, in your neighborhood, in your religion, or spiritual practice that you follow. So I really can't say I have the answer. So I look to, external sources, and some of my mentors that I've built my ideal version of my parenting comes from Dr. Joe Dispenza and Sadhguru and Grant Cardone. So it's funny because if you know these three people, they are different people. It's like one is red, one is yellow, and the other one is brown or whatever, but they're just different colors, different flavors. But I believe perhaps what is more important is not what influences a child, because today We believe that what's important is, your religion, your last name, your socioeconomic status, what influences a child is not important. Rather, the intrinsic value of finding themselves is probably the most important thing. And a really great way to solidify, the idea that I have of the type of parent I want to be is when I look at Sadhguru and his parenting methods and how he raised his daughter, almost for the great most of her life, as a single father. Because I believe it was at age 7 that, his wife and the mother passed away. But he says it's astonishing. Today, in present day, our kids know how to use technology and drive cars and, FaceTime and Skype and all of these things, create applications, some of us, before we know anything about what's intrinsic about a human being. We're talking about emotions, we're talking about mental states, we're talking about, a little bit of how, about consciousness, about how our thoughts impact us, how every experience in our external world is really creating my thoughts and my emotions if we're not living consciously. So I think that I'd much rather follow this route and teach my kids, perhaps if society enlists in their kids, show them the intrinsic value of their intelligence, of being human, over the importance of the religion, the last name, the country, the culture, but the intrinsic intelligence of what exists, of what is a human being. I believe that should be the forefront of, what we teach our kids. Show them, like Sadhguru's daughter, like it's more important that you know how to emotionally deal with stress and anxiety and nerves versus learning how to operate a car. And I'll tell you from my experience, I wasn't, and you're gonna think I'm crazy or I'm not sure how you're gonna handle this, but I didn't know what it means to actually think, like critically think, till I was about 20, 19, 20 years old, actually probably 18 or 19, 20. So what I'm saying is I learned how to do math, I learned how to read and write, I had sex, I learned how to cook, I tried drugs, alcohol, I took vacations, I had even like very severe accidents, all of these things before ever learning what it means to think. And I'm not going to go on. We can talk about, well, this is just, what I was shown, so I'm going to repeat this. But if we want to change the racism, the poverty, the health in every dimension, if we want to change these things on the planet, global warming, then perhaps what is more important is to teach the young the intrinsic value of being a human being, about their thoughts, about their emotions, how to use conscious activity, internal conscious activity, to create different conscious emotional states so they can overcome past experiences and so they can have the excess energy to create the actions in their life to result the life that they want. Perhaps that's more important than the religion they follow, than their last name, than their socioeconomical status. Why do I say this? Am I dramatic? Am I a lunatic? Am I too spiritual? The reason I say this is because the only way we're going to change the problems of our lives is with a different mindset. And if we're not teaching our kids about their mind, about their interior world, then, and we just keep teaching them responsibility and honesty and all these things, you could be born without, you could literally be born like Christ was built, or born, excuse me. You could be born without parents and just somehow born. You're going to learn responsibility, honesty, hard work, respectfulness, but you're not going to learn the intrinsic value of being a human being. And I believe this is what society should start investing in, having conversation with their young about, hey, you know what? You have a brain, and with this brain, you can tell yourself you love yourself. With this brain, you can paint a picture that is different from the actual experience. If you get fired or if someone dumps you, or you have an accident, you can use your brain to paint a different end result of that experience. Perhaps this way, perhaps moving in this direction, we can begin to overcome the anxieties of society, the, the regular problems that we have in society, so the economics, the racism, the poverty, and begin to become a more unified species. Because although there might be, 183 countries, I'm sure that's wrong, but we are just one, aren't we? So I invite you today to, excuse that, y'all, from nowhere my Spotify just started playing, but in essence, let's teach our kids how to become better than us, right? If we learned responsibility, honesty, and all of these things, and our grandparents learned the same thing, well, let's look at our life. Let's look at what we're teaching our kids, what we are regurgitating, and let's see what are the results. We've been teaching the same things for thousands of years, and we are where we are. Do you believe we are where we are? And is it a pretty planet, or is it not a pretty planet? And if the answer is the latter, then perhaps we should dive deeper than the surface material things that we teach our kids. Ineffable beings, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share. Also put down in the comments, what topics would you like for me to cover in the future? And share with me, did you receive value from this topic, from this video? And also share with us if you did not receive value. I hope to see you in the side of light. Goodbye.